Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, May 5th, 2025. Welcome to today's episode of the Daily BLP. Glad everybody's joining us. Let's go around the horn real quick, see who's with us here today. Manish, how are you today? How was your weekend?
Hey man, I'm good. My weekend was fantastic. And yeah, I hope you had also a great weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Mine wasn't too bad. Too bad. Manoj, are you there with us?
Yep.
All right, he is here. Yep, he is. And last but not least, Declan, man in the chair to the right of me. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fine.
Just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a dramatic pause for just fine,
Yeah.
but cool. Awesome. Glad you are all here with us today. Well, let's get right into today's show. Starting off with our first segment of the day, we're going to talk a little bit about this week's kind of recap of things going on. So today I've got a big meeting at 12:30, so it's only a few short hours away. Really excited about that. Sending my business partner Manny off to Las Vegas this week to meet with one of our vendors that's actually responsible for setting this meeting up that I have today at 12:30. Wish I could go because there's going to be a lot of, I think, big fish to meet there, but too many responsibilities and too kind of just bad timing for me to be able to make that trip this year. So maybe next year I'll be able to do that. But we're getting Manny prepped, and he'll do a good job of meeting people. He's got a really great personality, and he'll make some friends, and we'll see if that turns into something. And then later in the week, we're doing a presentation to a possible new IT client. That's always exciting when we grow that side of the business. Yeah, I can't wait to report back and tell you how those things go. But really, today's big focus, without worrying too much about the future, is just have a good meeting with this opportunity. 300 providers in this group practice, 300 plus. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous. I know my shtick, my routine really well. But we'll see. Sometimes when you're meeting with big folks like this, you gotta pump the brakes, be prepared, but pump the brakes on what you want to accomplish, just to kind of dip your toe in the water and see how the temperature is on their side. So, because I don't want to jump right into it, start blabbing, and get to the end of my talking and find out that everything I was talking about was outside of the bounds of what he's looking for. So we'll see how that goes. I will report back to you guys on that tomorrow. But that's really exciting stuff. Nothing really came in over the weekend that I noticed. Manish, I scanned my emails for anything that might have come in off of some web form fills. Did you see anything?
No, Dan. So basically, this weekend is completely blank. I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
And I checked the CRM and, form submission. So we haven't received anything this weekend.
Okay. Nope, not the end of the world, but yeah, it's good to coordinate to see if there was anything that I missed when I scanned. All right. Well, that's all I've got kind of for what's going on today and over the next couple days. May not seem like much, but it really is good stuff. So, moving on. Topic 2 of today is there's a new trend that's going on with phishing scams. So we all know what phishing, cyber scams are. It's when someone uses some sort of medium to get a hold of you and trick you into doing something to give them access to what you have access to without you knowing it. So this most recent scam is using calendar invites. So, and I'm not very familiar with this. So I was reading up on this a little bit right before the show started. So I found a quick article, and this is via the Intiva blog. I don't know anything about this blog, but just to give credit to where credit's due, I'm just gonna kind of read over a little bit and familiarize us in the audience with what's going on here. But what it is a sneaky tactic that exploits vulnerabilities in email and calendar systems to deliver malicious content right to your daily schedule. Now, before you get kind of deeper into the details of this, I could see where this can be tough to stop because, everybody uses something different. Some people are using, let's say, G Suite or even Gmail's free version, to do their calendarizing. Some people are using Hotmail or Outlook free versions, or even paid versions like we use here in our business. Some people are using other third-party vendors for, electronic calendarizing. So there's a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different ways that those vendors can or can't be, or are or aren't, protecting that. So, and then the other part of, there's another layer to this calendarizing, which is other third parties like Calendly or Zoom, or I know Zoho does it. A lot of these different cloud software applications will link up to your calendar, kind of to build this live calendar that you can share with people, so they can click on links to set up meetings, so it's easier for you to coordinate meetings. And with all these different types of software having access to your calendar, which has access to your email software, I could see where it could be really increasingly difficult to stop people, because once they get an avenue into something, they're going to look for openings and in security setups. So let's take this a little bit further. So calendar phishing is an attack method where scammers send unsolicited calendar invites that automatically appear on your calendar, particularly for Gmail users with default settings. Unlike traditional phishing emails that target your inbox, these invitations exploit the automatic event adding features of platforms like Google Calendar. When a user clicks on the event or the link inside it, they are often redirected to phishing websites designed to steal sensitive personal information or trick them into downloading malware. So that's interesting. And we don't use Gmail, but millions of people use Gmail personally, right? And professionally as well. I mean, I come across countless prospects or even clients of ours that are on the smaller side, and they're just using free Gmail. They might have their business name at gmail.com. So that they're using Gmail's free event scheduling and calendar. So if a lot of these are targeted towards that system, I can see a lot of people kind of succumbing to that issue. This might be a really good opportunity, Manish and Manoj, to look into this a little bit and see if we could create some sort of whether it be a kind of a white paper thing for, like, whether it be for clients or even for our campaigns, to help people understand the attack vectors and the openings of using free email services within their business or even in their personal lives. Because that's what most people are doing, right?
Yes, for sure. And yep, this is something very interesting. We can make some white papers. We can also write some articles, blogs. We can do some social media, email campaigns, and all that. Yeah, yeah. I think a good topic to awareness. Yeah.
I stay relatively up to date on different types of things, mostly because I get them. People try to hit me with these things. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails, but I haven't seen this one yet. But this is interesting. So here's a breakdown of the process. Automatic addition to calendar by default. So when you open up, I'm guessing by default, what they mean is when you create a Google account, Google Calendar automatically adds event invites from emails, which means the phishing link gets embedded directly into your calendar. Legitimate looking notifications. Google sends users a notification about the new event. Because it seems like a regular calendar update, many people don't suspect it as a scam. Now, the phishing link, number 3, the event invite usually contains a link directing users to a phishing website, which may look like a legitimate page, a prize notification, or account verification. So it's kind of that what used to just be in the body of the email where they were trying to make that look legitimate. Now they're just sending you a simple meeting invite. And it sounds like by default with Gmail, or maybe even like with Outlook, it automatically goes on your calendar, even though you haven't accepted it yet. And I think this happens sometimes too, when like someone will send me an invite and it'll show up as kind of translucent on my calendar. And then my inbox will say, "Do you want to RSVP? Yes, maybe, or no." Right? And then so in the body of that invite, which shows up on your calendar, is all the information. Click this link to for the agenda to the meeting, probably, or something like that. You click the link, maybe it puts something on your computer, maybe it takes you to a website to try to trick you even further or something. And then number 4, as far as the breakdown process, data theft. Once users engage with the link, that's what I was just saying, they're often asked to provide personal details such as their name, their address, phone number, even credit card information. In some cases, they might be prompted to log into their email or other accounts, which leads to credential theft. Okay, I could see how this could be huge. Okay, so how many times, Manish or Manoj, have you like tried to get onto your email from your computer, your phone, or something, and you're given a legitimate prompt that says, "Oh, it's time to reset your password. Oh, we can't log you in. It's been over 90 days since you logged in," or something like that. It's time to log in again, right? It's a security check. Because those kind of things are in place, to keep things safe. Well, all someone like this is doing is they're recreating that. And they can have it just be kind of popping you up to a website and make it look like a window that's not a website, to say, "Hey, you haven't relogged in so many days. What's your old password? Make a new password." And then all of a sudden you make a new password and it doesn't change anything. Now people have your stuff,
Yeah.
And you might kind of think, "Oh, it was just a screw up," and you're in your email, everything's fine. But now they've got your name, your email, and your password. And all they have to do is try logging in remotely. And if something like multi-factor authentication or if those things aren't turned on, they're in.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree. Yeah. That's a very tricky thing to access the data of any organization, any company. They can steal the information of the organization.
yeah.
And it's been very often I have seen, like, with al- almost every company, uh because mid-size and big companies are very aware. They usually send their employees in a specific period of time gap, like 1 month, 2 months, 90 days, to update their password. So we are very habitual. We do that.
Mm.
We don't care about the to identify a lot. Okay, is it authentic or not?
Right.
So yeah.
They're going to play on processes that have put in place to keep you safe, but because of that, they can fool you with the same. So common tactics being used: fake prize notifications. Invitations often promote the user has won some valuable prize, like an iPhone or a gift card, that require personal information to claim it. Credential phishing. Scammers may send invites that appear to come from reputable sources like Microsoft, urging users to verify their account through a malicious link. That's what we were just talking about. Urgent action requests. This is, in general, it's urgency and emotion that these scammers play on. Cyber criminals play on urgency with calendar events labeled as important or urgent, tricking users into taking immediate actions without thinking. One thing that I've been getting, not for my calendar, just as a little side, I get a lot lately, and it comes via text message, is because I do a lot of driving, a lot of traveling. Urgent. You have an overdue bill for road tolls, right? Because if I drive through places that have a lot of tolls, even though I can go into my toll counts and see that they're all paid up and everything, but I'll get these text messages with links in them to say, last chance to pay your toll before you're in big trouble or something like that. It's interesting. All right, so real quick, how do we protect ourselves from these things? Number one thing that they're talking about here in this article is adjust your Google Calendar settings. So one of the big things, like I read earlier, is by default, this is what happens. Most people never go into default and change the default, right? They open an account, the account's working, I'm good to go. You go open Google Calendar, click on the gear icon in settings, scroll to event settings. Under automatically add invitations, select no, only show invitations to which I have responded. And under view options, uncheck uncheck show declined events unless you wish to see them. Another thing, be wary of unfamiliar invites. Don't click on unknown links. Like we were talking about just a second ago, enable two-factor authentication and keep your software updated. I think this is a good article. This is something that I wasn't aware of how calendar links are used. I definitely think, gentlemen, that this is something we should do our own blog on. Maybe source a couple different articles, read up about it, talk to our team. Manish, maybe bring this up in a quick talk with Ashutosh from the India side, and we could bring in Joe or any of the guys from the US side, get some of their thoughts and maybe some actual quotes from them. And then let's put together, get the team on a couple blogs. That's pretty easy, pretty quick to do. And then, yeah, let's make it, maybe make it a topic of a campaign or something like that. And we could have some emails. We could put it in the newsletter. We could have a landing page about it too, something like that. Show people what it looks like. Maybe even take someone through how to go into their settings in Gmail and Outlook and make the proper changes. We could do a quick video on that, post that to social, put it in our campaigns, give that away for free. Don't gate it behind information. Let's give it away because that could really help somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else on that, guys? I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, and just
Good find. It was a good find. All right. Quick recap. Over the weekend, Denver and LA played Game 7, and the Nuggets destroyed the Clippers 120-101, eliminating the Clippers from the playoffs. I'm not really here or there on that. I mean, I would love to see the Clippers get further because it's another one of those underdog teams that doesn't just seem to put good teams together, but never really get over the hump. I like the Nuggets too. I like their style of basketball. Up until recently, they had never won a championship. Now they're in that championship hall, and it's good to see if they can hang up a couple more banners. That'd be cool to see. Golden State Warriors and the Rockets played a Game 7 last night, and the Golden State Warriors advanced with a 103-89 win in Game 7. Kind of an unsung hero. Buddy Hield scored 33 points. It's usually Curry that's kind of pulling things in and leading the charge, but 33 points from a player like that is good. I don't know if you can count on that every game, but he came up big in a Game 7, so that could be a career changer for him. Last one I have on here, Indiana Pacers and the Cavs. Pacers took Game 1, 121-112. And that is, I don't know if that's a surprise or not. The Cavs are strong, but that's going to be a good series to watch here moving forward. As far as NHL playoffs go, Winnipeg and the St. Louis Blues, Jets clinched the series in a thrilling Game 7 win. That stinks. I was really hoping the Blues would win that. My son and I, over in the chair, we're newly acquired Blues fans by default because we got to go to a game, and some good friends of ours in St. Louis over at Arsenal, they're big Blues supporters. So sorry, guys, that the Blues got knocked out in Game 7 against Winnipeg. Regroup and come back again next year. See what they can do. Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. Stars advanced after a 4-2 comeback victory in Game 7. Dallas Stars take the series. All right, that's all I got for sports. Moving on to our final segment. How are we doing for time, Declan? Where are we at?
Let's see. We are at just past 20 minutes.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right. So Declan had this idea. Thanks, producer Declan. Appreciate it. It's sometimes it's always a little bit of a head scratcher. What do we want to come up when it comes to this segment 4? We try to meld things that are going on in life and things that are going on in business. Can we combine them, or can we just go one or the other? Declan had the idea of, could we put something together and talk about how do we handle the situation when we have too many things, we're juggling too much, like a meeting, we're double booked, we can't go to both because they're in different places at the same time. What can we do? So we asked our good friend, ChatGPT, to give us some ideas. Let's run through them and see if they're applicable, and see, outside of what's suggested here, how we can handle these kind of things. I think some of it is, kind of come out as proof in the pudding. So, number 1 for strategies, assess the priority and potential impact of each meeting. I think that's a good starting point. I think what tends to happen as a starting point is we panic. Oh crap. I'm booked for 2 meetings at once. What do I do? And the extent to which we panic usually depends on how long do we have till those meetings are actually happening. Is this a week out? We can definitely rebook and adjust schedules and make this work. Is it in 10 minutes? Uh-oh. I didn't notice I was double booked, and now what am I going to do about it? So definitely don't panic. Assess the priority and the potential impact of each meeting. So, all right, so we've assessed it. Let's say we can prioritize one as more important than the other. And what do? We still don't necessarily. They could still have some high general importance. Well, let's see what some of these other suggestions are, and let's talk through them all. The second one is delegate one meeting to a trusted team member with a clear briefing on what they need to do and what the responsibility is. Amen. That's a big one. I think that's one of the reasons why we try to build strong teams. Someone in my spot, and what me and my partners talk about a lot, is building a team of people in the company that can eventually get to the point to render the 3 of us as unnecessary. That the team does things so well, we have such a good structure in place that they do better what we can do. Because if we're the limiting factor of the success, and this comes down to a meeting as well, then there's only so much we can do. The success of the company is dependent on our time and our ability, as opposed to the ability of the people we put in place. So objectively, hire and train people to be better than yourself. Don't be threatened by their skills. That's true, and this happens to me a lot in meetings where I might not be necessarily double booked, but I'll have a meeting coming up, and then something will come up where I've got to take this important phone call that's priority wise. I can't reschedule, or I can't make that person wait, or 2 minutes before a meeting, a new prospect meeting comes up, and the meeting that I've got is with, let's say, a current client that I'm not necessarily the focus of the meeting. They just like to have me there. Either the client likes to have me there, or the team member likes to have me there as a security blanket, right? A good example of this might be, Manish, like getting started months and months and months ago with one of our digital marketing clients. I was on meetings, right? Our regular weekly meetings. And then I realized it got to the point where I was just there to put in 2 cents worth every once in a while. But it was clear that you could run the meeting without me, right? And so eventually I just pulled the Band-Aid off, and now I know that the meeting's there. I'll put myself as tentatively. I'll let you know anytime you need me there to comment on something or talk about something. Make sure that I know I need to be there. Otherwise, you've got this. And sometimes there's been times when I'm in on a meeting and an important call comes in, I have to pull myself out of that meeting, but I know it's going to happen well because there's another person on the team that can handle it. So it happens a lot with meetings as well, or things that need to happen between myself and Jamie. She's able to, follow up on leads or prospect things that come in if things dictate with my time where I can't jump in and do those things. So a lot of times we get form fills and I'll have something that's keeping me like doing the BLP all morning almost, between prep, recording, and post. From 7 in the morning till about 10 or so, I'm tied up making this content with you guys. Leads could come in. She's got access to my email. She'll take care of it. She knows that if a lead comes in, she can call it right away. She knows what to say. She knows how I would handle it, and she knows how to get it to a point where we move it down the chain. So that's a good one. Reschedule one meeting if possible, explaining the conflict explaining the conflict with transparency. It's absolutely true. I've had that happen many times. Manish, have you ever had it to where you've kind of been double booked for, let's say, appointment with a client or something like that, and you just have to push one or move one to a different place?
Yup, it happens a lot with me. So basically, I always work to, book my calendar because I schedule my calendar. I plan my calendar is a 6 months before or a year before. So I plan my calendar for a year, what I do on the different times. Sometimes that is for the client meeting. So I have seen that conflict, like two clients book the time for the same, slot. But I usually, do one thing. Before booking a meeting, I communicate on the email. So that is a two-way communication, where the communication when I do with the client, and I ask their suitable time. If they say, okay, I am available on a Monday at 9 a.m., maybe I have another meeting at 9 a.m., then I ask for another slot. So this is how I communicate with my client to avoid conflict.
Yep, absolutely. Very good. Very good. And even with business and personal life, this happens. I know last week, Declan, he usually has piano lessons at 2 o'clock on Thursdays. And right now, since my wife can't drive yet, it's my responsibility to get him to the school so he can meet with his teacher, that kind of thing. And there's been a couple weeks in the last month where, because I've got meetings and I'm tied up, I can't drive him there. So we reach out. We could panic and say, "Oh my God, it's not going to work. What are we going to do?" Or we can realize that the people most of the time that we're meeting with, they're professional too. They have grace and understanding that things happen. So as opposed to what happens when we're young and immature sometimes, and especially if we panic or we're worried about being viewed a certain way, we'll just kind of let it go and pretend or make up an excuse. Oh, I forgot, or something happened. I stubbed my toe. My dog ate my homework, whatever. As opposed to picking up the phone, sending a message. Hey, schedules are crazy today. I'm not going to be able to get Deck to class. Can we change the time, or can we do it over Zoom today? And almost all the time, they're super graceful. Oh yeah, we can make that work. Can we? And in this case, last week we moved the class to 4 o'clock, and he did it over Zoom on his keyboard in his room, and his teacher zoomed in, watched, and they got it done. Now it's always better to do it in person, especially with that kind of stuff, but sometimes you make those adjustments on the fly. Last thing it talks about here is utilize technology to attend parts of both meetings if feasible. Yeah, that can be doable. And one way to do that, I think, is, if in meetings where you have control of the flow of the meeting, have an agenda, have people specifically placed to do their parts in the meeting at parts of the agenda. One of the things we're working on with this show is to eventually pull in some guests for certain segments so that they don't have to dedicate 30 minutes or more of their time, right, to be on the show full bore. But if they could come on for 5 minutes, we could say, hey, jump into the lobby at 9:25 and we'll have you ready to come on at 9:30, and we'll have you out of here by 9:35, right? And they can take 5 minutes, pull away from something else, come in by us, and then go back to whatever they were doing, right? And I think we could do that as well. If we, let's say, Manish, you were having a marketing meeting and you needed me in on part of it, except instead of saying, Brian, I need you in this meeting, and I say, how long's the meeting? Oh, it's going to be for an hour. Well, I got to book an hour of my day, and most of that hour is me sitting, listening until it's my turn to talk, right? But if you can prioritize people's time in meetings with, hey, I need you to pop into the meeting at this time because we're going to talk about, that can be really cool. And I think it shows how professional we can be and how good with managing our time we can be too. What do you think?
I think yeah, that's a great idea because I would say one thing, Brian here, because people are very, I have seen these days they understand the value, the time of each
Well,
professionals.
yeah.
So sometimes it happens with me in my previous organizations. We do meeting a lot. So sometimes we do meeting for the 2 hours or 3 hours. So might be I'm required for 10 minutes only in a 2 hours meeting. So my boss told me he used to work in BCG. So he told me that Manish, if you feel that you are not anymore required, you can definitely say that I'm got to go. I got to go. I have something, another meeting or anything. So there is no need to wait for the 2 hours. If you have completed your part, you can definitely say that. I started doing that, and that is very helpful for me to uh, avoid conflict or manage my times. So
Yeah.
that is one lesson is good for me.
Absolutely. And I think that plays into too is like if you have meetings and create hard starts and stops, if we got to start at this time, we got to stop at this time. Hey, we're going to start whether everybody's in attendance at 9 o'clock anyway. If you pop in at 9:05, that's okay. We won't point you out and haze you, but we're going to get started. So you might miss something and we're going to stop at 9:30 because everybody else got to go do other things. I think a lot of times what happens, at least in professional meetings, is we get to talking, we get off topic, and all of a sudden a half an hour meeting is an hour and a half, and we've had great conversations, and maybe we've accomplished some things, but a lot of the five people in that meeting, they needed that other hour to get other things done. Now they're behind, so getting better at managing time within meetings wisely so people can get back to actually doing work of accomplishing things.
But that depends on the meeting type brand also, because if we are doing a sales meeting, we shouldn't jump off from the meeting. How it doesn't matter how long they.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. So there's definitely certain times like a discovery meeting you want to use because you don't have a friend, a trusting friend relationship yet. You want to say, hey, I know I've only got you for a half an hour, so I want to make sure we're really efficient. And I'm going to come to that half an hour and I'm going to say, hey, we're about a minute from 30 minutes. Do we have time to go further or do we need to cut this thing off? And so I'll give them the opportunity. Like on a presentation, I'll book hour and a half to 2 hours and people say, hey, do we need all that time? I'll say, we might not use it all, but I'd rather get you out before and you have blocked the time rather than hold you longer and make you late for something else. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. Sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta go longer, but calling attention to the fact that, hey, I'm getting close to the time you've given me. Do we have more time or not? But like in this meeting that I've got today at 12:30, they're half an hour meetings. Now I've done one that went longer, but when we got close to that 30 minutes, I was like, hey, we're about 5 minutes from our cutoff time, but we're only about halfway through our agenda. Would you like to continue on? Do you have time or do we need to start and have another meeting? And she was like, yeah, we've got about 15 more minutes. I can go 10 minutes over. Okay, great. And now you don't get to that 30 minutes and they're tapping their finger, they're tapping their foot on the other side of the Zoom meeting or the other side of the table waiting things wrapped up because now they're going to be late for the next meeting. So, yeah. Anyway,
That helps. It helps a lot in sales.
yeah,
It helps a lot. Sometimes client understand, okay, if you offer me these services, someone else offers me these services. But sometimes clients see if you guys are very dedicated in your meeting, you are looking like your team bonding look like a fantastic. No one is leaving the meeting. Everyone is coming with a valid point. We get projects sometimes. So it helps a lot sometimes. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I've noticed too, and not necessarily in the initial kind of discovery phase, but in kind of the middle assessing phase, the more people that I can involve that actually add value to that part of the process, the better. Not to have like 10 people on a meeting where you've got one person from the prospect, but if I pull in a top level or mid top level manager from one of our services to be with me at either an assessing meeting or auditing meeting or something like that. They're like, wow, we must be a big deal to these guys if they're willing to pull these other people into the meeting to get involved. So that's generally helped, and it's brought I think it's made people think that we're serious and that we've got a lot to offer too. So cool. I think the one thing I want to take away from this is there's a lot of different ways you can make the double booking scenario work. Have a strong team that you can fall back on and say, hey, I need you to take this one for me. I've got to take care of this. I'll swing in if I can't, but otherwise I trust you to get the job done. Prioritize definitely where you need to be versus somewhere else. If you can reschedule, and try to use technology the best as best possible to make things work. The other takeaway that I want to mention is, how do we avoid getting into this place in the first place? And I think it comes down to strong communication with your team, and good personal and professional time management for ourselves, right? So I'm notoriously not bad, but notoriously sometimes lacking in this case because I tend to overextend myself, and I can look at my calendar and then 5 minutes later I can forget at what I was looking at. Someone can ask me, what do you got for the day? I'm like, oh, I don't remember. Let me go look at my calendar again. You know what I mean? It's very strange.
It happens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an ADD thing or ADHD or what it is, but I look at it, I see it, okay, I'm good for this timing, then I move on, and someone asks me 5 minutes later, are you available at this time? And I'm like, I know I just looked at my calendar, but I don't remember. Let me look again. So
Panacea.
yeah. So I think effective communication and time management can help us avoid these type of things. Sometimes technology just gets in the way. Like I know Bob makes calls for me. Something happened with our calendar syncing where he wasn't seeing all my meetings, so he was doing some double booking. Now we got that fixed. That shouldn't happen again. So, and we're going to talk weekly to make sure that even the automated stuff, we're going to manually look through things and make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. So anyway, that's all I got. How are we doing for time, Deck? Did we make it?
37 minutes.
30. How do we spend did we just spend 17 minutes on that topic? Holy cow. What happened? What a time warp. Let's talk about poor time management skills. Wow.
Hypocrite.
It was a two-way communication.
Wow, that was hypocrite. You just jumped right to hypocrite. That's okay. Maybe. Anyway, it was good. I think we got some good stuff there. Hopefully people find it helpful. It's always, even from a selfish perspective, it's good to talk through these topics to remember how we need to be improving our internal processes as well. So that's all I've got for us today, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen in our audience. Thanks so much for tuning in. Can't wait to talk to you guys again tomorrow. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.